Hello! This is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition and Gaia Thrift. And with me today is my guest, Ed the Pagan from Gaia Thrift, and we're going to be talking about Gaia Thrift today. And I hope that you're having a good day. And as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your questions or comments into whatever platform you're watching on, and for the most part, they'll show up here in our chat room. The chat room is not on the screen today because we have a guest, but we will see it. And so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to make them. And how are you today, Ed?
Well, good. I've had some customers today. I've been putting up a lot of things. We had a number of bids on our tarot cards that we have up on eBay.
Yes. Yeah, you
Uh,
have some of my old personal tarot decks up there.
yep. And yeah, so far we're doing pretty well with that. And that's Gaia-Thrift on eBay. So yeah, we're doing pretty well. I mean, so we're in the middle of trying to clear. We're pretty debt free except for our utility bills that built over the winter. Like a lot of people, we weren't quite prepared for that, and so now and people ask me how much is it. It's about $1,500 to get us debt free. Hmm?
Yeah.
And so I'm pursuing that right now.
And hello to
Um,
Renee in the chat room. And hello to
and
Mary in the chat room.
right, and there are a number of people who have supported us. I know Don pays part of his Patreon into the shop. I mean, so overall, the shop has to make $2,000 a month to survive, and we're there, almost there. We're enough to be very confident with it. Because it's a lot part of a larger set of projects. So right now we want to clear our utility instead of
Mm.
asking for money. Like you can donate to us. We're perfectly acceptable donation, and we'll send you a link. Um,
And hello to Jade Rising in the chat room. It's
and
good to
so,
see you, Jade.
but we're also trying to raise $1,500 as fast as we can um, to continue this project.
Yes, and we are doing that with an auction on eBay, among other things.
Right. Right now we have like 187 different items for sale. A number of auctions, um, tarot cards, clothing, books of all kinds, a treatise on white magic, which is pretty rare. That's and it's a chance for you guys get things at a discount, and also through direct sales. We're going to do a dollar an item of clothing because we need to refresh our clothing. So overall, we're doing everything we can to do so. And the important thing about it, but why Gaia Thrift? We talk about elder care. It's not very exciting to people, but it is important. Is that we do need a revenue store to do so, to be able to do this. We've talked about a lot of other projects, but really we need to see one thing we need for our community is jobs. Let me be honest. Converting. We want to convert donations to jobs.
Yes, indeed.
Because people always talk about community and local community and down to earth, and Danville's in desperate straits and not desperate straits. It's it's a bit of a
Actually, it's a
short.
paradox.
Huh?
It's the perfect place for us to be. It's a paradox.
There's some very rich areas and some very nice areas. Um, it sees itself as a big city, but it's not even in the top 50 cities in Illinois, much less the United States. It's a city of 30,000, of which 1,800 of them are prisoners out of prison. Um, One third of the town is under the poverty line, and so we have this mixture of rich and poor. Really big city luxuries and all of the things that you see in a rural town that pulls it down and builds it up. It's pretty paradoxical, but it is possible. It has a metaphysics. It has a strong LGBTQ community. It has metaphysical stores, a rock shop in downtown. We have an adventure center right across the street, theaters. I mean, it's very much an old Victorian town. Is it Victorian? Am I thinking about uh,
Edwardian.
Edwardian? One of the early 20s, very much a Rockefeller town. They had a Carnegie Library, that sort of thing. So this was, symphony orchestra, theaters, plays, actors of all kinds, including Gene Hackman, Billy Short, the Van Dyke Brothers, Haley Martin, or some early vaudeville
Helen
woman,
Morgan.
huh?
Helen Morgan.
And tons of
Uh,
actors.
yeah.
A couple of football players that are in the NFL on the Kansas City. And
Hmm.
today's election day here, so it's a lot of great things. And so, but for us to really kind of build our sanctuary, our family, we need jobs. Let's be perfectly honest. We can call I call them resources because a job designates a boss, an organization, an authority, and it's all kind of pyramidal. I think we need work, we need income, we need revenue. There's a lot of ways of getting that, and Gaia Thrift answers that for the community.
And it provides a service for everyone.
Oh yeah.
Mary says beautiful architecture, and yes, Danville has some beautiful architecture.
BZ Tower is going to come down. We're going to take pictures of that as it comes down. It's
Oh yeah,
it's like what 14, I think 10 or 14 skyscraper was an
yeah.
early skyscraper. Unfortunately, they could not find the right buyer who could afford the really big cleanup. And some of it's asbestos, some of it's old materials. Well, what was smart, useful, and cheap before has become expensive and dangerous.
Yes,
Isn't that the story of America?
it is.
Uh,
Well, this is a situation where doing the comfortable thing and the right thing are not the same thing.
mhm,
And we had this conversation that bringing the tower down is the right thing, considering the state it's been allowed to get to.
right.
A lot of people are talking about what a shame it is to bring it down, but they're not considering or willing to do what would be necessary to keep it in place. It would be very, very expensive at this point. They could build another one for what it would cost to keep this one in place.
Hmm.
Uh, and I do agree. This was a huge landmark. One of my favorite possessions. I have a set of Brazil Tower souvenir vases in the storage space, which probably won't have any meaning to future generations, but were
Hmm.
a very very interesting keepsake. Because at one time it was a huge center of attraction, but at this point it's a ruin.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of speaks to where a lot of smaller towns are. They either they have to deal with their history, and they have to
Mhm.
deal with their present, and they have to choose the present over the past if they want to have a future.
Well, in Danville, we had the same thing. I've got a whole series of pictures of the Wildon building
Yes.
because we made a proposal to take over the Wildon building, and
Hmm.
we
In
were
Hook.
turned down. Everybody was turned down. 10 years later, they're showing the insides of the pictures, and it's not recoverable. I mean,
Yeah.
we were taking pictures at a time when it was recoverable, and
Hmm.
that was attitudes that they had.
Yeah. And hello to Daniel in the chat room.
Under no circumstances. And you haven't considered it? I've explored all of it. And he's saying, have you considered a pagan or Gaia or Corellian crypto? Just a thought. No, we don't have any fundamentals of the economy. I'll tell you, we did think about it. In fact, I also thought about the worm coin, which was about carbon credits, which has a real value in the world. But the regulatory processes of it and the ledger of it was very difficult because we were trying to do that. I was trying to build a crypto based on carbon capture. And, we capture carbon and then we could trade that. And there is a market for carbon trades. And we were going to make a coin for it, and it have a value of, with this coin you could buy a certain amount of worms or a certain amount of carbon credit. It would have a set price. The problem with crypto is that 99% of them will go to zero. Um, the Hawk Girl just did one, and she's now under charge. It is so shady, so difficult um, to do so. Will there probably be one in the future? I certainly hope so. But we have to have some sort of economic structure behind it. And I imagine a Corellian coin. I have as a gift certificate.
Hmm.
$1, $2, $5 on it, and be able to accept it, say at festivals and things like that. So the idea is there,
Hmm.
and that gets us back to Gaia Thrift. If we had a store or set where you could take that crypto or that coin in and actually spend it, um, and you can spend it, then it has value. Otherwise, it's a collector's item. And I think if we created Corellian coins, a lot of them would end up on people's altars and everything else. But I would love to have it
Hmm.
for Danville, for the businesses, for the people here that we can use it for. I would rather hand that out than a paper coupon because then we can reuse it. So
That's
there's
right.
an idea of it. Yeah, Daniel, I was at a time when I could have started crypto for almost nothing. My God, my biggest mistake to date financially with crypto is that I was offered for it at 10 cents a coin, then $1 a coin, and I ignored it. I was in the middle of the SETI project. Ah,
Yeah.
big mistake. Krellins would have been billionaires if we would have done that, but fate didn't want us to.
I think I
Um,
remember designing a worm coin. It featured George Wormington. It was very cool.
yeah. So yeah, but in Gaia Thrift, we do build an economy. How does it work? People have asking why is it pagan? And what does this have to do with me? Okay, so if I don't want to be in charge of, and believe me, people from Pagan Solidarity have approached me. I have nothing against their project. I do have some concerns, but they're not my concerns because I'm not leading it. Hmm. So, great. I believe that everybody's allowed to do as they please. Do I believe they're going to be effective or not? I said I don't know, but I'm not involved with the politics, nor am I involved with the politics of how to run the CNC. That's younger people's brains. Believe me, running the CNC is a difficult thing on your brain. Um, it is. It's hard because you have
It
to deal,
is.
a- especially if you're empathic, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of emotions involved. Everybody's got their emotions. And one of the things that Corellian and pagans in general do very well is they're trauma eating machines.
And hello to Mystic Order of the Sacred Circle.
Right. And I think pagans pay a lot of attention, a lot of Wicca, a lot of pagans. We're trauma eating machines. We eat other people's trauma and reduces it to a point that they can be healed and turn around and healing more people. This is why we call ourselves a healing people, ancestor people. We care less about cash, buildings, prizes, status as we do eating the trauma and making people less traumatized. And that's become more difficult as we have an intentional religion and folks wanting to create trauma. Drama comes out of trauma. So many people call it drama, but really it's just a reflection of your own trauma against theirs.
Yeah.
A lot of people react to it. Oh, you're just a drama queen. No, I'm having trauma. Well, I've had that happen to me too. You have trauma. And you have to accept that. So I think in a lot of ways, paganism, especially Corellians, are trauma healing machines. And that dictates, we've spent millions of dollars over the years building our entire system indirectly. I mean, some of it's
Mm.
subscriptions, some of it's building things, some of it's hosting events.
Hello to
Um,
Janet Gann.
yep, one of our fine donators too, Gaia
Yes.
Thrift, and one of our ambassadors. And then, we would rather heal people than to cash out on people. I mean, that's
Mm.
the truth. So Gaia Thrift is my next example because I realize I can't do anything more for the pagan community until I build a revenue source that can donate money and donate resources to them. Right. And so that's where we're at. We don't have, nowhere in the community do we have a good flow of revenue that we can dictate to our policies. That's why we're always reacting in crisis. Give us a good crisis and we'll react. Appalachia's, when they had a disaster, how many people are still following through and helping Byron?
Hmm.
I mean, we don't have a good flow. These disaster happens. We're very good in crisis. Well, again, trauma response. We're all trauma based, and we don't have the longer term answer. Gaia Thrift is a longer term answer. I want it to be the world's largest thrift store and things like that. And also, it fails my other mission. When I was in the worm business, no more landfills. I want to remove stuff from landfills. I think we waste way too much money. And I think you talk about crypto. Crypto is about creating something out of nothing. We're taking something that nobody considers value and revaluing it, rehoming it, reusing it. And that's really important too.
Yes, indeed.
The last service I think Gaia Thrift offers to the elder community. One thing we learned with Don 2 years ago, people don't realize how much value is in their libraries and their collections. Um, collections, they don't realize the value of it. A lot of people get their books tossed to Goodwill, in which people then pick up and go, "Oh yeah, I found this really great book worth $50." They don't know that there's value in it. They're not, diaries are getting tossed. So we're seeing a lot of our own materials get tossed out for nothing
Yep.
or donated to Goodwill. Donate it to us, better. It'll help.
Yeah.
We want to do that. And we want to help some of the elders cash out some of their materials.
So, what do we have at this auction?
Um, we have we have the Treatise on White Magic, which is a pretty rare book. I've got some Elizabeth Clare Prophet books. I've got a first edition Coleman book, the new Coleman book that came out a couple of years ago. That
Hmm.
we got a brand new one. It's at $2.99. We have the Zoltan Tarot card, which is leading the bidding. And the box has been broken and things of that nature, but the cards are really good. We have Toth decks and everything else. I have a number of card decks I'm going to be selling out of the shop that are Tumu based. I've been offered
Hmm.
so many Tumu based. We will not be selling Tumu based cards. You know,
I think you have at least three decks that I used during my professional career as a psychic.
oh, I
So,
did not know. Yeah, you should
a
probably. Yeah,
Shultun was one of those.
yeah.
The Tarot of the Ages was actually one of my favorite decks. Well, they were both among my favorite decks, and the Big Thoth deck. Um, so, if you're interested in buying one of my personal decks, they're in the, three of them are in this auction.
I don't think I realized it was just in the box. Um, okay.
And I highly recommend all three of them. The Shultun deck is based on Maya mythology. It's very beautiful and also very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork is carefully based on Mesoamerican artwork. Um, the Tarot of the Ages is a multicultural deck, very interesting. I used to sarcastically call it the Tarot of the Naked People because it's heavily focused on the human body, but it's also very
Yeah.
beautiful
I
and
mean,
beautiful pieces.
so we have 183 items altogether. And some of them are like we have a Barbie movie hoodie. Some of these are items you just buy straight out, make us an offer.
Mm-hmm.
I have a third degree. One of your third degree books are up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have a collection of Etchaton books, all 7 books for like $49. We have a James Brown starter deck for $5.
Yeah.
Uh, we have antiques. How to Survive Mercury Retrograde. We have listed for a buy it now. Um, Pamela, here's what I was looking for. Pamela Cole and Smith, British artist, illustrated, Rider Waite Occult Art. That's the name of the book.
Yes. Yeah.
Runes in 10 Minutes is another book we have for sale on auction. Yeah, we got quite a bit.
The Pamela Coleman Smith biography, I understand, is very good. And of course, she was absolutely revolutionary in the tarot world. She is the artistic creator of the Rider Waite Smith deck.
hmm
And for many years, her role was forgotten.
And that brand new book was donated by Susan Dancing Star.
Yes.
I mean, let me go ahead and talk for a minute. I mean, we have a lot of great people who have helped us. I mean, it's been very important. Um, you know, we've had a lot of people who have helped us, and it's taken a lot more work than I expected for people um, for it all to work. I was looking for all the things we have on auction. I'm not going to do that because I'm talking. I have a hard time. This is one of those little tricks I've found out. I have a hard time actually talking and looking up. So yeah, we have a number of important books. I have a spiritualist book up for sale too. So we have a lot of things. It's let me go ahead and put that in there. It's ebay.com/USR/Gaia hyphen thrift. There we go. So you guys can take a look at it. So we are selling these things, and we're doing a little bit of a fire sale. I want to clean this out and get more items. We will accept occult materials as well, which is rare. A lot of times, you got to be careful. Find out if the Goodwill's better about this, but a lot of the smaller thrift stores, especially religiously based, will take and destroy your cult books.
Mm.
Let's be very clear. I found out the one here, I won't name them, will not, they accept books. They got tons and tons of books. They get rid of the occult books. I kind of try and talk them to give them to me or let me know that they're in.
Mm.
But they give away Bibles. And they're allowed to do that. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
That's perfectly reasonable to do that. Um,
Well, thank you, Janet. Janet says, I'm trying to fill up a tote for donations.
well,
And
thank you.
we appreciate that greatly.
Yeah. Um, so that's one of those things. So do be careful. If you think that they're going to resell your material, they will not resell your books or anything that might be occult. There's just a few thrift shops. Some Goodwills won't do it either. It really depends on the religious or the disposition. On the other hand, Village outlets in Chicago, Village outlets, I found lots of occult books. I found great. They don't siphon. So it really depends on your local store.
Yes.
Us having an emphasis on it, we're going to do more than just that. We're likely to have something in.
Yes. Absolutely. So once again, the address for that is ebay.com/USR/Gaia hyphen thrift.
And you can find it on GaiaThrift.com. There's a link there and to some of the other things. We're not giving up on whatnot. We're not giving up on any of this. We're really looking at it. Um, uh, I was just reading what Daniel's saying. I think it is important that we incorporate it into our daily
Mm-hmm.
life. And Gaia Thrift is all about that. We're about reuse and reuse, rehome. We're looking. I'm looking for an artist who wants to take some of the material and upgrade. I think we can make some really nice stuff, and with our platforms, we can probably sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
want to be better. I want to be able to come in on stores that are having trouble and liquidate part of their stock, for cash so they can survive or, get out. There's a lot that we can do in that business that keeps things out of the landfill, keeps things that have been produced into physical matter continuously growing and allowing some revenue from this. That's what's important. Can we create and generate revenue? We're going to do an art show at Don. I mean, that's going to be so that he can have some personal money. That's May 9th. And that'll be on Whatnot. So there's a lot of platforms, a lot of ways to sell. And selling secondary goods is a great way to live your ethos, which means to reserve, to preserve, and to do so. And if you don't want it, doesn't mean nobody else wants it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been talking to somebody about buttons. Just stripping the buttons and saving the buttons from shirts you toss out has a very big impact. Because buttons are hard to find these days.
That's true, especially interesting ones.
And as we go in the future, and here's something I do believe in the future. I think with the loss of Joanne Fabrics and other sort of craft stores and repair stores, the difficulty of finding thread, repairing sewing machines and all that, I do think that we're seeing the influence of a more, as predicted in the 1970s, Alvin Toffler's Future Shock, a more disposable society. Even though we're talking about reuse and recycle, I think there's a lot of pressure not to repair.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially from some of the companies that make them.
Right. And so you're not seeing as many buttons on the market. You're going to see less of that sort of thing. So things we can start preserving today may seem very quaint, very silly, but I do suspect in the near future we're going to have a great deal of value, even generational value. I believe a lot of clothes have generational value. Books have generational value. So if we want to build for the next generation, we need to build in those fields of books and art and other value items other than just pure cash.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that, let us take a moment for a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back. Hello, this is Rev Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and I would like to invite you to my Don Art showing and auction on Friday, May 9th, with original pieces and prints of my artwork, and other interesting items with the auction at 5 p.m. on Whatnot. And please stay tuned for more announcements and examples of art that will be coming. Thank you. And thank you to our sponsors, Equinox Learning Hub and us. And Janet says, thrift stores used to cut buttons off of clothes they were not going to sell and then sell the buttons. That's an interesting idea. And she says you don't see that often anymore. And Daniel says, I will look it up, the auction, and get something. Got to keep pushing, guys. Absolutely. And we appreciate that.
And let me add, you have a $100 wardrobe offer out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess you're gonna have a slideshow with Renee that you did,
Yes.
and to show what that looks like. And we've got a lot out there. I mean, and more locally. So we're gonna be working. We're gonna try working with some of the other charities like Dwelling Place and the new men's shelter that just opened up yesterday. There's a lot of places we can do good locally. If we're going to survive what's about to happen next in our society, which is going to be a sweep of hate, anger, confusion, protest, noise, whatever, we're just anxious. I mean, I don't know if it's right or wrong. I'm not going to dictate all that. But for us to survive, we have to build a sanctuary. To build a sanctuary, you need revenue, you need jobs, you need something. And you need something that's going to last and something that is going to be permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these things, as a pagan, Gaia Thrift really does fill that goal. And right now, we're just looking to clear our winter debt. You can make a direct donation to us. Just contact Don. You can get a gift certificate. We'll give you gift certificates. We'll do anything that you do it. But thank you for helping us clear this winter debt.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Ed, for coming on. And let us close with our prayer, as we always do. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we ask you to help us as we go forward to create the good things that we are striving to create and build the better world we hope to see. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love. Knowing you are always with us, from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. May you be blessed now and always, and I will see you again tomorrow.